Before the world stirs, before the notifications flood in, before the pressure of responsibility tightens around your chest, there is a brief window, a silence. And in that silence lives a question: who will you be today? Not what will you do, not what will you accomplish, but who will you be? The Stoics understood this moment. They understood that before the body steps into the day, the mind must be prepared. It wasn't about ambition or routine for its own sake. It was about direction, intention, protection. Before we continue, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us to keep making insightful content for you. Now let's dive in. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the Roman Empire and perhaps the most reluctant emperor in history, began each morning not with fanfare, but with reflection. He didn't rush to advisors, he didn't consult oracles, he sat quietly with himself, with a pen, with his mind, and he wrote. What he wrote wasn't for anyone else, not for legacy, not for power, not for beauty. His meditations were private notes, reminders to stay awake to his principles, reminders that the world outside would try to pull him in every direction: praise, fear, flattery, frustration, but that inside he could still be still. He reminded himself, today you will meet people who are arrogant, dishonest, selfish, and none of it is personal, it's human. Expect it and meet it with reason, meet it with calm. This was armor, not against violence, but against internal collapse. Marcus didn't want to lose himself in the machinery of empire, so every morning he carved out a space to be honest, to be bare, to examine the state of his soul before he faced the demands of his role. Seneca, another Stoic voice, born into immense privilege but never seduced by it, also believed in beginning the day with perspective and ending it with review. He wrote about premeditatio malorum, the anticipation of hardship, not to suffer before the suffering, but to prepare, to say, if discomfort comes, I know what to do with it. If insult comes, I won't flinch. If wealth arrives, I won't lose myself. If it leaves, I won't crumble. He urged self-accounting. What did I do today that aligned with my values? Where did I slip? Where did I speak too much, desire too much, fear too much? And where did I stay in command of myself, not for guilt, not for self-punishment, but for clarity, for refinement? And then there was Epictetus, a man born a slave, his body broken by a master, his freedom stripped for years, yet he taught that the only real freedom is inner freedom, that no one can make you angry without your permission, that no event can disturb your peace unless you let it in. He told his students, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. And he lived it. Every day, not just in lectures, but in the way he held himself, in the way he responded to insult, to change, to mortality. So what do we do with all of this? We take what's timeless and make it personal. You don't need to wear a robe or light incense. You don't need to quote dead philosophers, but you do need to meet yourself in the morning, before the day's noise drowns out your own voice. It might be 5 minutes or 1. Sitting in silence, asking yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? What will likely tempt me away from that? How will I return to myself when I get lost? You can write, you can breathe, you can simply sit in the quiet. But whatever you do, it has to be yours. It has to be honest, because modern life is 1,000 invisible hands tugging at your identity, your opinions, your emotions, social media, work stress, ego, insecurity, all of it begging you to react, to rush, to perform. The Stoic morning isn't about escaping that. It's about stepping into it without losing who you are. It's about anchoring yourself before the wind picks up. A clear mind before the headlines. A steady breath before the arguments. A centered heart before the ambitions. Empires were built on sand. The Stoics built on stone. And their foundation was laid in the quietest hours of the day, not because they were superhuman, but because they knew how fragile the human mind can be without ritual, without practice. So start where you are. You don't need perfection, you need consistency. You need to stop waiting until life is less chaotic. The chaos is here, and it's not going away, but your response to it, that's still yours. That's the Stoic power, not dominance over others, but dominion over self. So tomorrow morning, or better yet, the next time you find even 10 seconds of silence, don't rush to fill it. Sit in it, own it. And ask yourself, not what's next, but who do I choose to be right now? That's where it begins. The world doesn't care who you intended to be when you woke up. It will test you, interrupt you. It will provoke, distract, and try to redefine you through noise and novelty. That's why the Stoics didn't leave their identity to chance. They rehearsed it, quietly, every morning, before stepping out the door. We live in an age obsessed with optimizing mornings, cold plunges, bulletproof coffee, productivity stacks. But the Stoics had a different goal, not stimulation, not even motivation, just clarity, just alignment. Marcus Aurelius didn't open his day trying to hack his brain for more output. He opened it trying to guard his peace. And in guarding his peace, he found something modern minds often miss: resilience without hardness, power without noise. He expected problems, he expected fools, he expected failure, but he trained his mind not to recoil, to welcome it all as part of the path. The impediment to action advances action, he wrote. What stands in the way becomes the way. And that idea that obstacles are fuel, not barriers, didn't come from theory. It came from daily practice, from meeting the morning not as a blank slate, but as a battlefield. One where the enemy wasn't out there. It was forgetfulness, reactivity, ego. Seneca understood this too. He warned against the scattered life, the life where time slips away not through catastrophe, but through small, mindless choices. A morning spent in thoughtless consumption isn't neutral. It's theft. Theft from your own values, your own clarity. He called for vigilance, to begin each day by remembering that your time is short, that your role isn't to please others or keep up appearances. It's to live deliberately, to die with nothing left undone. And Epictetus, he didn't care what titles you held, how much money you made, or how impressive your schedule looked. He asked one thing: are you living in accordance with your nature? Are you aligning your choices with your highest reason? If not, why? And if so, prove it. This wasn't asceticism. It wasn't self-punishment. It was freedom, true freedom. The kind that says, no matter what happens today, no matter who praises or criticizes me, no matter what goes right or wrong, I remain who I am. But that kind of strength doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's built quietly over years. In mornings no one sees. So what does it look like now in our world? Maybe it means leaving your phone in another room, not forever, just for the first half hour. Maybe it means opening a book instead of an app, or writing 3 lines in a notebook. One fear you're holding, one thing you're grateful for, one value you want to embody today. Maybe it means asking one hard question each morning and refusing to move on until you've answered it honestly. What am I avoiding? Where am I out of alignment? What would courage look like today? These aren't morning tasks. They're invitations. And if you accept them consistently, if you show up for yourself before the world shows up for you, you'll notice something. You'll stop needing so much from others. Less praise, less validation, less approval, because you'll already have orientation. You'll already know where your compass is pointing. And on the days when things fall apart, when someone lets you down, when something breaks, when your plans dissolve, you'll return to what you've practiced. Not in panic, not in despair, but in steadiness, because you saw it coming. You rehearsed your reaction. You knew this day would test you, and still you chose not to flinch. That's what morning practice gives you, not a shield against reality, but a stance toward it. Not the promise of ease, but the ability to walk through difficulty upright, undistracted, undivided. Empires rose and fell while these men wrote in silence. They buried friends, they were betrayed, they were exiled, ridiculed, broken. But they remained themselves, because they built themselves each morning in honest dialogue with their own souls. And maybe that's the quiet lesson history left us, that strength isn't built in crowds, it's built in solitude. That power doesn't come from control, but from surrender, surrendering to what is, and choosing how to meet it. So tomorrow, before the noise begins, before you become someone to everyone else, become someone to yourself. Sit, breathe, ask. Remember, because the world doesn't need a faster version of you, it needs a steadier one, a clearer one, a deeper one, and that version is always waiting, just on the other side of morning.